What do you make of Murray not throwing?
Same thing I've made of just about everyone not throwing. It's a bummer for us.
It is.
It's a bummer for us.
It is.
But Sam Darnold didn't throw last year and went third.
Andrew Luck didn't throw
Andrew Luck didn't throw. I mean, it's a story for us, and I know that different teams will tell us, well, we like to see guys compete. We like to see this. We like to see that. But when it comes down to it, if they really like the guy, they're going to take him if they like him on their throwing. It's just a bummer for us because it's great TV, and it's great. It's a great way to see him with everyone else at the same time and say, hey, that's what it looks like.
And, Mayock said it this week when he was – it's still a little strange.
It's still strange, right?
Manager, right? But, he's consistent. So him saying, I want to know what makes a kid tick. I mean, remember, the Jamarcus Russell pro day everyone was drooling all over, and he's like, hold on a minute, I don't know if this guy really wants to play football. So Kyler Murray, I think clearly by telling the A's we're done, paying back whatever needs to be paid back to the A's, and making some sort of agent change is moving a lot of heaven, moving a lot of earth. So he's told you that
he told us.
So even him not throwing here, you can't say, well, you're being inconsistent. You love football so much, and yet your passion will not bring you to actually throw. So then the question is why not throw? And now I'm already hearing into that void comes the fact, well, he's two bills. He's 207 pounds, and he's never been 207 pounds. So he's definitely not running at 207.
He shouldn't.
And he's definitely not throwing at 207.
No. This was just simply to win today.
So, but what does that
to
mean
win the combine?
Winning today, at some point, he's going at March 13th.
Right.
Do you think at the pro day he'll still be 207?
No. No.
Well,
He'll be in the 190s.
So then why get up to 207 at all? What's the point?
I'm not sure. That one I don't figure, Rich. The one, to me, all he had to do to win today was stand there and be 5'10" and 1/8. Because once he did that,
be who you are,
right? Remember Lean on Me, Joe Clark, right? You remember? And I'm telling you, Rich, if my kids could hear this now, they would fall over in an absolute embarrassment, but they would shake their heads because I have co-opted one of Joe Clark's great lines in there when they were telling him all the things he had to do. And he said, I don't have to do anything but be black and die. And I use that line all the time around my house. And my kids are just like, oh, my God.
Enough, Dad.
All Kyler Murray had to do was be 5'10" and 1/8 today. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to be 207 to me. Okay, some teams may say they like to see that. Russell Wilson, I believe, weighed in at 204, 5'10" and 1/8.
Wait to get to that.
Right.
He didn't add it.
But Kyler Murray has heard the discussion of how slight he is, the hits he's going to take. He's too little for this, and I don't know if he and his administration decided that this was the way to go. But he won at 5'10" and 1/8, Rich, which is incredible. And the reason I say incredible is timeline of football. If we had said this 10 years ago that a guy would measure in at 5'10" and 1/8, and we'd be going, okay, we don't have any more questions about that, we'd all be looking at each other. We'd say 5'10" and 1/8. He's too little to play quarterback in this league.
We were saying that in the first segment.
Right?
It's crazy,
and
Charles.
Here we are, 5'10" and 1/8. He's now Paul Bunyan. It's amazing how that won for him today.
DJ,
but he won the combine today.
DJ came on the show yesterday and said that he gave Russell Wilson coming out of Wisconsin a second-round grade. And by hearing everybody say he's too short, he's too this, he's too that, he got scared and he gave him a third-round grade, and that's where Pete Carroll went and grabbed him. We had Pete now number one. He said that it was difficult to get through the status quo evaluation.
Yeah.
And I asked him who the status quo was, and he basically laughed. He goes, well, it was me. That was the setup that we had here. It was me. Like, even he had to get out of his own head.
Had to get out of his own head to do it. And so that's why I was telling, Brockman will say here, Charles Davis on the Rich Eisen show, and he's been saying for the last several days, that what's the difference between 5'10" and 1/8 and 5'9" and 3/4? And I'm like, well, the difference is do the math. Yeah.
That's the difference. And that to be able to say he's 5'10" and 1/8, any sort of CYA moment that a scout can have with a general manager with an owner to say, hey, 5'10" was kind of the magic number industry-wide, and he hit that box, so don't blame me. That is kind of crucial in order for a team to go ahead and say, we're taking this kid.
Great point. And here's the other part for me is Eddie LeBaron, because I always go way deep, right?
You're in. That's why this is the old Gen Stat Show, right? So that's why you're here on the program.
So Eddie LeBaron had well over 100 starts at 5'7", 5'8", whatever he was, right? Uh-huh. He was the ultimate outlier. Then came Fran Tarkenton, whose first coach, Norm Van Brocklin, the Dutchman, in the Hall of Fame as a quarterback, used to tell him, Francis, you only leave the pocket out of sheer fright. Drove him crazy that he would scramble. Retired as the all-time leading passer in NFL history, 5'10". Another outlier. But in recent years, if we're going to add Drew Brees in, you add in Drew Brees.
This is great because we were talking about the timeline of this evaluation.
So Fran Tarkenton was still the outlier. They still weren't looking for Fran Tarkentons to come into the league. They were still bypassing the Fran Tarkentons that were coming into the league and going for the 6'3", 6'4" guy who could throw it through a wall. But think about recent years, right? In our time frame now, we could Brees, Wilson, Mayfield have now, to your point, I think, and let me see if I want to make sure I'm hitting it right and not put words in your mouth, Rich. That GM now has that carte blanche to actually be wrong, but take Kyler Murray. Meaning, if Kyler Murray doesn't become a superstar, your job status isn't automatically jeopardized because you took the 5'10" guy.
Well,
you're taking the 5'10" guy that people are saying may be the best quarterback in the draft.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.